Today, we are continuing talking about our core values, what we call our 4 V's. Anybody remember what the 4 V's are? This is a test. Vision, good, vision, values, vehicles. Look at the elders are answering. They're like, I'm not sure. And vocabulary. Who said that? Very good. Oh, Stephanie, yeah. You get points. Yeah. There you go. So, our purpose, as everybody knows, is loving God. Well, I don't know if everybody knows this, but loving God and loving others fearlessly. And really, I have always framed it that the way that we do that is through our core values. And our core values are we offer God's grace and abundance. We value and respect all people equally. We embrace learning and discovery. We've preached on those. We stay at the table, which is the one I'm preaching on today, and we multiply leaders. I must warn you today, I am very intense. Passionate. Thank you. I'm very passionate. That's spoken from my friend. I'm really intense. Because this weighs in my heart, and let me tell you why. This has been a core value of ours for decades. When we started, or when Cornerstone started, Tony and I came here after 8 years. And we stay at the table became a core value when they were framed 8 or 9 years after I had become an elder, probably at the 9-year mark. And so I was part of the framing of other core values along with we stay at the table. I honestly can't even remember the other core values. So I was part of that framing, and that was a big one for us. And so when we revamped our core values in 2016, 2017, we brought we stay at the table forward into these core values because it was important to me. Because it's such an important concept to my heart. And even as I was setting up to preach and was, parsing out who was going to preach and what they were going to preach, I personally was like, I don't care which one, I'm going to give this person this one. I'm taking we stay at the table. That's how important it is to me. Because there's such a key concept in here that lives in my soul. It's a deep, heartfelt thing that I almost have a hard time explaining what is in my own heart, but I'm going to try today. And I have a frog in my throat all of a sudden. So here's some questions, and I'm not going to ask us to answer it. I just want you to think about it. What does it even mean to stay at the table for you? Just answer that in your own head. When you hear stay at the table, what does it mean? What the heck is the table? What is the table? So what does it look like in real time? And how do we really live this out? How do we enact this in our lives? What does this look like when we're hurt, when we're in a fight, when we're angry, when we're feeling unforgiving, when we disagree with the direction of something? What does it look like when we're on the opposite sides of the political aisle? What does it mean when we're working around issues that are happening in our world in real time? Hunger, wars, genocides, immigration, trans rights. When fears are rampant, what does staying at the table look like beyond this room? What does it look like when it comes to our enemies? What does it look like when it comes to people that we feel like we hate? How do we stay at the table with those who disagree with us? And how far does staying at the table actually go? Is it even biblical, or is it just something that Cornerstone has come up with? Is it just something that we say? And it's not really even a biblical principle. And do we treat staying at the table like we treat everything else in Christianity? We choose to follow it when it's convenient and when we agree with it. When we go, yeah, I can line up with this, I can do this. See, when I'm looking at this, I have so many things, dripping right now in this moment. Jesus' words are really radical, and they demand something from us. There's a reason that he says narrow is the way, and few are those that find it. This is one of those for me. And the more I studied this, and I've studied it for decades, by the way, and, even going back through my sermons, I've watched my own growth looking at these various sermons going, wow, it just gets more dimensional and deeper as I go. There's a lot of demand for us, and it's not of the do's and don'ts. The church has focused a lot on sin and a lot on do this and don't do this. We have missed the point of why Jesus came. We have missed the point of the Beatitudes. We have missed the point of what it means to love. The church has taken, be good, do this, don't do this, and has missed the whole point of caring for the poor, the marginalized, seeing the other, dying to self. It has missed the point of the Beatitudes. Blessed are the meek. Blessed are the persecuted. We've missed it. The church has missed what it has meant to do this. And we have focused on, if I do these 17 things, then I'm considered a good Christian. Not really. Not really. We have foregone focusing on radical love, on grace, and on forgiveness, and on belonging, and on opening our church doors to all people, and on not excluding people because of race, because of gender, because of identity. The church has been one of the most exclusive places when it was formed. Jesus was not crucified because he was bad. He was crucified because he was radical. He was crucified because he came with a completely different gospel. He came with a gospel that set the law upside down. He came and said, you say this, but I'm telling you the way and who God really is. And it's an upside down kingdom, and it's about love, and it's about inclusivity. It's not about exclusivity. And I was thinking about this. Jesus was crucified by the religious community because he preached a gospel of love and of inclusion. And then I began to think, and I was like, Gandhi was martyred because he preached a gospel of love and of inclusion. And then Martin Luther King was murdered because he preached the gospel of love and inclusion. And then I think of Malcolm X, who's another one of my favorite. He was also murdered after he had a moment and a revelation of love, and his religious community murdered him. And I began to think, people don't want to hear a gospel of love. They want to preach a gospel of hate. That's acceptable. And Malcolm X was safe as long as he was preaching a gospel of hate, but the minute he turned to love, he had a mark on him for death. Love, people don't like it. They say they do, but when you really start preaching what is required of us, they don't like it. You have a mark on you. Parker J. Palmer, who talks about staying at the table, says this: If we're to follow Jesus Christ, we must learn to stay at the table within our own communities and in the world, in our churches and elsewhere. This does not mean that there never comes times when relationship must be judged failures, when meaning or healing are such distant hopes that we must make the agonizing decision to separate and move on. But too many of us make those decisions too quickly and easily with too little provocation. We are not taught to stay in difficult situations. We are taught to run. But before I get into that, which I'm going to get into, I want to talk about what staying at the table is not. And the reason I want to do that is because I don't want anybody sitting here going, well, what about, when I'm talking. So I'm just going to say it right at the beginning, what staying at the table is not. It does not mean we have no boundaries. Yes, we are going to have boundaries. It does not mean that we remain in abusive situations. Yes, we need to leave. It does not mean that we all hold hands and sing Kumbaya. Community is like marriage or any other relationship. If it involves people, you are going to have conflict. It is going to be hard. If it involves you, it's going to be hard. Okay? They aren't the problem only. You are the problem. Say that. I am the problem. We all are. We all are the problem. We need to lose the idea that there's some utopic relationship out there that others have and we somehow do not have. Please do not look at people and see them kissing in one moment and go, oh, look, I wish I had that. It's just a moment. They probably just had a fight before, or they're going to have one soon after. It's just going to happen. It's going to happen. It does not mean that we have to remain seated next to difficult people. But it does mean that they belong at the table. And the truth is, we are all at the table. We are all at that perennial table. It does not mean that we don't disagree, or we don't offer our own thoughts, or we don't get pissed off, or we don't argue, or we don't get angry at somebody, or we don't see that they're doing something wrong, or we don't speak against injustice. That is not what it means. And it doesn't mean that we don't ever leave a church, a job, a friendship, or a toxic relationship. Does not mean that. It means that we recognize that we are all at the table and that we are all invited to the table and that we all belong at the table. Do we change seats? You betcha. You betcha. Do we move around? Yes. But the bottom line is you belong, and I belong, and so does the jerk down the street. So let's talk about what staying at the table is. So our 4 V's document says this. We stay at the table because relationships are the core to abundant life. I think unless you're a hermit that lives in the desert because of spiritual things, I think we all recognize that relationship is key and core to our lives. And it is demonstrated by perseverance. Can we underscore perseverance? Through tension and differences. I was reading this and I'm like, wow, that's kind of brilliant. It is so definitely demonstrated by perseverance through tension and differences. There will be tension and there will be differences. Why are we surprised? I don't know about anybody in this room, but I grew up thinking that there was some relationship out there that I wasn't going to have tension and differences. I don't know where I got that from. I don't know, Hallmark? Disney? Yeah, Disney. Yeah. You live happily ever after? What is that? So not true. But yeah, that there was something out there that was like, there's going to be, and then when you have tension or you have difficulty, it's like, we're done. Can I tell you, for all of you avoiders in the room, you know who you are. As Kevin says, when you're a number 1 or an 8 on the Enneagram, look up Enneagram afterwards, conflict is, what is it, connection, Kevin? Conflict is, they experience intimacy through conflict. Okay, I'm a 1 and an 8. I'm both. I experience, conflict is a normal way of life for me, right? I'm not going to name names, but the person I've been with for 47 years, he's a little bit of an avoider. So for me, I'm just like, let's go for it. Let's work this through. And he sees me coming, and he's like, let me get the heck out of Dodge, man. He sees it in my eyes. I'm like, dun 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 dun, and he's like running out the door, getting in the car and driving, joining the circus. He's no way. But let me say this to all of you avoiders, in love.
In love with avoiders?
Yeah, in love, yeah. Conflict is a way of, it's just a pathway through. It's just a pathway through to get to the best place. Thank you. It's a way to get to a place of intimacy. It's a way to get to a place of decision and the best answer. When we come together as elders, I'm like, disagree so that we can find the best answer, so that we can find the best place. Conflict is not a bad word. It is a place that you can find answers, but you have to be willing to enter this space that says conflict is not a swear word, it's not a bad thing. That's free of charge. So, if we're going to be alive, and if we're going to be human, and if we're going to be in relationship with any other human being, there's going to be conflict. Does anybody remember the movie Castaway? Do you remember Wilson? He fought with Wilson. Does anybody remember that? Remember him arguing with Wilson? It was a volleyball. If you're in relationship, you're going to have conflict. It's just the way that it is. It is impossible to remain in relationship with tension and differences. If I meet with anybody as a coach, and they're like, oh yeah, my partner and I, we never fight. I'm like, danger, danger. One of you is not talking. One of you is not being honest with the other. It's not good. So the verses that I want to read from this, and I'm going to read the whole thing of Philippians. In our 4 V's document, it's only a little bit, but I want to read the whole thing. It says this, Philippians 2, verses 1 to 11. Therefore, if you have any encouragement from being united with Christ, if you have any comfort at all from his love, if you have any common sharing in the Spirit, if any tenderness and compassion, has anybody felt this from Jesus? Then make my joy complete by being like-minded, having the same love, being one in spirit and of one mind. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves. How's that for a Freudian slip? Not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of others. In your relationship with one another, have the same mindset as Christ Jesus, who being in very nature God, did not consider equality with God as something to be used to his own advantage, but he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant. That is the invitation that God asks us to enter into. Do we even think of doing that? See, that to me is what the table requires. The table requires a dying to self, a taking up our cross, a recognizing that it's not just about me, a recognizing that everything I do, that my whole life is not just about me, it is about us. It is about not only us here, not only about us in the United States, but about us globally. It is about us in the world. It is about us in nature. It is about us in the universe. It is not just about me as an individual. So what I do has repercussions. You see, it's not just people at that table. It's the world at that table. It's trees at that table. It's the universe at that table. That's the table. But see, we're not really good at knowing this. And where I start with and land at the image of the table, for me, is the communion table. But let's go back to where the communion table started. So imagine with me the Last Supper. Imagine with me that night that Jesus is sitting with his 12 disciples and the disciples, the women. And he is getting ready to pour out his life. Now he knows. And I want you to imagine him as human. He is 100% human here, as he is 100% God. But he is human. And he is looking across the table, and he knows who is going to betray him. And he knows who is going to leave him. And he knows what they are going to do. And he is about to walk into suffering all kinds of unjust atrocities for a people that have no clue what he is doing. He is about to enter into beating and carrying a cross and being crucified, and for a world that to this day doesn't fully understand what he's done. To this day, as a church globally, that still doesn't follow and get it. And still in his name says hateful things about other people, and does hateful things in the name of him, and has throughout the centuries. And he is going to die for this world. Would we? Would we? And what he's going through and about to go through is so difficult that within a day he's going to be sweating blood. And he's going to be begging God, will you please take this cup away from me? Can you take this cup away from me. And he's at this table with the good guys. The good guys. The people that are going to be entrusted with the gospel. I don't know about you, but I don't think I would entrust them with the gospel. The one who's like the pick of the litter there, he's going to deny him. The ones that are chosen, these are the inner circle. This is the clique. These are the special ones, and they all run. And he spent 3 years pouring into them, and they still don't see him. They still don't see him, and they still don't get it. They're going to betray him. They're going to deny him. They're going to run. And by the way, when they leave this profound moment, they start arguing about who's the greatest. Jesus, we want to sit on your right hand. Who's going to sit on your right hand? And then Jesus goes, well, can you eat of the cup that I'm going to eat of, and they go, uh-huh. And they're like, yeah, we can do what you do. They have no idea. They have no idea. They have no idea what they're doing. And neither do we. And neither does the person that you hate. And neither does the person on the opposite side of the political aisle. And neither does the person who you've spent all this time despising in your life. And neither does the person in the car that is driving and cut you off and that you're so offended by. They have no clue what they're doing, and we exert so much energy. They have no clue. It is why he's on the cross and says, forgive them, Father, they know not what they do. I am 100% convinced that 99.99999% of the people on this earth have no clue what they're doing. And if they did, if we truly understood the damage that we do to other people, we would not do it. If we truly understood what our unforgiveness, what our bitterness, what our hatred, what all of that does to other people, we would not do it. But we don't fully understand. We don't understand. And neither did they. They have no clue. They're blind to their own capacity for betrayal. Peter, no, Jesus, I'm not going to deny you. Even if everybody else does everything, I'm not leaving you. What's the first thing he does? The first crow. I don't know him. I don't know who he is. They don't have they're blind to their own capacity for grasping for power and their own ability to run when the going gets tough. The minute the soldiers show up, one guy was so afraid that he ran naked. Go read John. He runs away naked because he's so afraid of the soldiers. Jesus didn't scream at his disciples. He doesn't look at them and say, can't stand you. He doesn't go, after all I've done for you, don't you see me yet? He doesn't do any of that. You know what he does? He goes to the cross. He dies. He dies. And I know there are people in this room that are going, yeah, but he was God. I know that. But there is also a part of me that I believe so deeply in my heart that he invites us into this same role. I really do. I live in that tension. I really do. Parker Palmer again says, and what does Jesus do in the midst of all of this? Being fully human, he must have been tempted to get up and leave, just as you and I are, when our romantic images of relationship fails. But Jesus doesn't leave. Instead, he keeps breaking the bread and passing the cup. Both here and in the rest of the story, Jesus demonstrates his commitment to staying at the table. Jesus was not shocked or undone by the behavior of the people sitting around the table with him. Can I tell you a secret that has helped me, both in my relationships with people and in my relationship as a coach and as a pastor? Is when I see a person's behavior, I go, oh, okay, now I understand who they are. Period. It has nothing to do with me. It's just how they are. And it says in John 5, Jesus knew what was in humankind's heart, so he did not, the Greek word there is turn himself over to humankind, right? He did not give himself over because he knew what was in man's heart, it says, but it's really humankind's heart. It is looking at us and knowing we are going to fail. It is looking at your partner, your spouse. I have been with Tony for 47 years. Let me tell you something. He has failed me and I have failed him. It is just the way that it is. And you know what? We have all failed each other in this room. That is part of staying at the table, is knowing I am going to fail you. You are going to fail me. We are going to fail each other in relationship. We are, because we are human. It is what we do, but we're not going to do it on purpose. And even if we do it on purpose, we still don't fully understand. Forgive them, they know not what they do. We're so complicated, and we're so lovely. We really are. And we're all the same. We're all the same. We truly are the same. I don't have any idea how long I'm going because no one's holding numbers up. Okay, well, it's her fault. Everybody blame her. So, what I want to say is this, because I don't know how long I've gone. I want to talk about the table. There is something very powerful about this. Because when Jesus comes to this table, he takes the bread, he breaks it, and he says, this is my body broken for you. Do you understand the image? Do we understand the image? Do I understand the image? He takes the bread. He takes it. My body, he is saying to his disciples and to us, my body is being broken for you. For you. It is being broken for you. And then he says, take it and eat this and do this in remembrance of me. He doesn't say, put it up on a shrine and look at it. He doesn't say, worship it. He doesn't say, ponder it. He doesn't say, just look at it. He says, I want you to take this, and I want you to put it in your mouth, and I want you to chew it. And then I want you to swallow it. And I want it to become the very part of you. Because I want you to recognize that I am in you. And I want you to think about what is happening when I am in you. That I am a part of you now in this image. And that this body was broken for you. And when you're taking this in you, I am asking you to remember that I broke it for you. And in the midst of it, I am asking you also to take up your cross and to follow me. And that's not easy. And when you're taking this, I'm also asking you to remember that you are the body of Christ. You are my body. So when you are taking the image of this bread into your body, you are also taking the image of the rest of the body of Christ into your body as well. So not only are you taking the image of my brokenness into you, but you are taking the image of all of the brokenness of this world into you as well. And I am asking you to remember my brokenness and your brokenness. And remember that you are all one. You are all my body. You are my body in this church, in this community, in this nation, and in this world. This communion is not just a sacramental moment. It is a remembering. And 1 Corinthians 11 talks about the importance of taking this and not taking it lightly, lest you take condemnation upon yourself. And I've always been like, that's kind of judgmental, isn't it? But what I really believe that's saying is it is a deeper invitation to don't take this lightly. This is why it says, check yourself. See if you have any unforgiveness. Otherwise, you are taking condemnation into yourself. I think what that is, my opinion, is it's saying, recognize the body of Christ and recognize that as you hold something against somebody else, you are actually taking that toxicity into yourself by taking this at the same time that you are holding toxicity and unforgiveness and bitterness towards somebody else. Because you are taking the brokenness of Christ and what Christ has done and just going, it kind of means nothing. It's such a deep, beautiful thing. And then he takes it and says, this is my blood of the new covenant, or this is the new covenant in my blood. And he's saying, I am cutting covenant. And I'm not going to go into what cutting covenant means. But covenant was always something that a stronger person did with a weaker person when the weaker person couldn't really come to the table with anything that was worth anything. Very rarely was it two people that were equal. And Jesus is saying, I'm cutting this with you as a weaker vessel. And I want you to know that my blood covers everything. You belong. You belong. You belong because of this. I will never leave you. I will never forsake you. I am cutting this with you for all time. You are mine. This world, it is mine. I will never leave the table. Never. No matter what you do, no matter what happens, I will never leave the table because of my blood that I am shedding for you. It was not about making it so we could approach God. It was God cutting covenant with us and saying, you are my children. I am loving you and letting you know that you belong. That's what communion means. So staying at the table is about recognizing the table that Jesus began for us. And it is recognizing that we all belong at that table. We can move up and down the table. We can do all of that. But first and foremost, it means next time we are talking about somebody, hating somebody, shaking our fists at somebody, carry with that, they are at the table with me. They are at the table, and they are Christ's body. How do I live in that tension, and what is God asking me to do? Or next time, there is an injustice that is happening. It's to say, what can I do? What are you inviting me into, God? Because they are at the table with me. They are a part of you, and they are a part of me.